The subject assigned today for discussion is the concept of nation states and the Ummah. The subject warrants an insight into the historical background, and when we talk about the Ummah, we are obviously talking about the concept presented by Islam, addressing the population of the planet, its management division, its merit, and by comparison, we will also peep into history to understand where we are coming from and where we stand today. Historically speaking, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for as long as he was present in the midst of people, we saw the emergence of what is referred to as the Riyasat-e-Madina, or for that matter, the governance that was in place in his lifetime during that initial period of Islam, and it was being managed by the laws for governance as prescribed by the Creator and conveyed through to mankind by his Prophet. Soon after his demise, we see the emergence of caliphate, or the rule or governance by a caliph, and that was subject to a dichotomy of the method, pre-qualification, and legitimacy, because there was a choice for governance between an imamate or a caliphate. This period of time inflicted the Islamic history, and when we see the demise of the caliphate, we see the emergence of monarchy again, which is what the message of Islam had rejected in totality. And then we see these monarchs who appeared predominantly in the visage of the caliphate being further subverted or consigned to the bin of history and were replaced by colonialism, and that is what we live with today. To entrench colonialism on the planet by the forces, imperialistic forces that exist, the management of population, which grew rapidly and is growing, the planet was divided into nation states, and it is a planet today of nation states in denial of the concept of the Ummah as was presented in the message of Islam. We are here to talk about the merits and demerits of both these aspects. The concept of the Ummah presented human liberty based on merit, with no political borders, enabling the human race to interact freely with each other and exchange their wisdom, their knowledge, their cultures, and therefore enable the evolution of human civilization at a very rapid pace. This concept also presented a two-nation theory where it is said that people of the same belief are a nation and all others are a nation apart. Opposed to this particular concept, this particular injunction, we see the emergence of nation states in recent contemporary history, and we see that these nation states have a pattern of governance which disregards the enormity of the human population on the planet and restricts governance through a small club of a handful of people, 183 to 200, that are movers and shakers of the economy and the end beneficiary of all factors of production. It is for this reason that today we see the wealth of the entire planet concentrated in the hands of 400 people, while the population of the earth, comprising of 7.6 billion people, remain at their mercy for all factors of their subsistence, their food, their education, their clothing, their places to live, their healthcare, the like. Now, when we have to compare the two, in essence, there is no comparison. One is an order judiciously devised based on merit for the population of the planet, and the other is an order based on piracy and for the purposes of upholding imperialistic powers to keep scavenging the earth for not only natural resources but free labor. Today, the population of the planet for the monolithic, the Muslims is about 1/5, and the political territory they occupy has natural resources representing 56% plus of global production. So while the colonist and the imperialist forces divided the planet into nation states, and the Muslim communities were divided as a consequence in the same stride, we see that they, in their own ranks, have become allies, while the Muslim nations, who are in possession of about 56% of the natural resources on the planet, are divided only to get robbed, marauded, and looted by the colonist forces, the imperialist forces that dominate the governance on the planet. This phenomenon warrants integration and the doing away of all forms of division, particularly that address economic welfare and economic patterns for the management of societies. While we see in a polarized, ethnically polarized Europe, an integration on currencies, an integration on traveling, trade and commerce, industrialization, we see that the same set of people oppose any form of integration in the area which is natural resource rich. So the significant thing to observe, to take notice of, to be cognizant about is the form of leadership that does exist within the Muslim communities in denial of the merit and the worth and value of the concept of the Ummah. Evidently, we have rulers that serve the purpose of the colonist, and they oppose the fundamental injunction of unity within the Muslim people to make up for the Ummah. Leadership, therefore, is now ascribed to how much can you serve the colonial order and benefit from that service personally at the cost of the natural resources within any political territory, at the cost of the human resource within any political territory. The two aspects that support this unification, this unity, are of course based on material justice and social justice. Once this is established, the roadmap for the re-emergence of the Ummah can be clearly made out, because unification itself is the destination that we need to aspire for, aim at, and head out towards. Towards governance, the concept presented by Islam is the rule of the law. Towards governance, the concept being presented to the world by the colonist through nation states is the rule of personalities in denial of merit, in denial of popular consensus, so that these personalities can serve the larger cause of the colonists. So the first thing they come to is their economic model and international protocols on tariffs and trade, on research and industrialization, and in the retention of conflicts that should not be there in the first place to begin with. This is therefore the case, historically speaking, when we want to establish a difference between the concept of the Ummah and the concept of the nation states. As are, as were, and it requires serious thought by legislators, by thinkers, by the people who are there to religiously invoke the message of Islam in any given society around the world. The global economy, as a consequence of this particular concept, has been seriously impacted and does remain so. And what we see that the end beneficiary for every aspect of the economy are colonists who now present themselves as bastions of the truth, as the flag bearers of fair play, as the main arbitrators of human rights, and human values. And this is extremely deceptive and a smokescreen. It is so not because I am saying it or anybody else would be saying it. This is what the statistics, when we talk from the perspective of the economy, anywhere, do present in very clear view. The concept of the Ummah brought about a factor of liberation, because governance was presented in a format where merit would be the factor of basic consideration. So it was never personality based. It was based on law, judiciously administered and dispensed. So when it came to the question of governance, all people that constitute the government were in effect employees of the people, servants, meant to serve, not rule. And this is the fundamental difference between what is in place and what is supposed to have been in place. The prescription we see from all factors of political science being dispensed are in the garb and visage of this aspect of law, that merit shall rule, merit shall serve, merit shall be the essential part of governance, based on those factors of equality that are due to a population. Oftentimes, this particular concept of the Ummah has been referred to as right of right, has been referred to as a manifestation of communism, but there is a vivid difference. There is nothing averse in the Islamic message about the ownership of wealth, but it is only due on the basis of labor, on the basis of knowledge, on the basis of research, and not on the basis of blue blood, lineage, and or any aspect of racial or feudal supremacy. The message was extremely liberating. It has merit and has to be upheld. So what this particular topic is supposed to address is the new blueprint as should emerge for governance in Muslim territories that will save the Muslim people from being constantly and consistently robbed, enslaved, bullied, and subjugated. Primarily, there should be 3 to 4 points which we need to address. Imperialistic exploitation of natural resources. 2, the determination of the medium of exchange based on asset and value in place of the volume of trade. Number three, complete liberty from the legal perspective, complete liberty to coexist with the world with all factors of freedom that Islam has proposed. 4, trade and commerce, for research, for industrialization, and for the basic provision for human subsistence. These are the areas that make up for a writ dispelling any other factor that any constitution, any set of laws, any set of rules uphold. So when we have to address the difference between the Ummah, the concept of the Ummah, and the concept of nation states, it essentially boils down to the re-engineering of laws that dispel the colonist, the colonial agenda, and disregards any international law that is averse to this God-provided liberty. In concluding this particular talk, we can, from the perspective of Pakistan or the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, can only suggest the regrouping, the reconstituting, the remobilizing of our legislative paradigms, essentially based on the ideology we were founded for and we claim to retain. Thank you.